Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Transitions for More. I'm your host, Mike Urko, Marine Corps veteran. I've returned from Iraq and faced the challenges of PTSD, addiction, and grief to create a new life that is balanced and healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Each episode, I'll share some of my journey or interview inspiring veterans and subject matter experts to help us find that purpose and connection we all crave. You guys can follow the show on Instagram at Transitions for More. Join our TFW page on Facebook, Twitter, and transitionsformore.com. If you have any questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email me at mike@transitionsformore.com. If you guys enjoy the show, please leave us a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Without any more dilly-dally, let's get to the interview.
And we're back.
Motherfuckers. What's up, dude? How you been?
Oh, I'm doing. You know, every time we do that opening, it reminds me of like there's these weird method acting courses where you gotta like mirror people.
That sounds so weird.
And that just reminds me of it.
Yeah.
They do it in improv classes too, and it's like cheesier in improv because you're supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And it doesn't usually work out.
Oh man. Is that rough, like watching improv classes with people who really suck at it?
Yeah, you know, it's really bad. Like, so when you're in a class with people,
Yeah.
you generally kind of get the feel of what they do, you know?
Yeah.
I think one of the worst experiences I ever had was it was like an open jam. You know, there's like this group in San Francisco that I was doing improv with. I did like 5 or 6 classes with them. And there was one kid who like, I don't know, he had been in all the classes. He was more advanced than I was, you know. But we were doing this jam, and usually they'll take the teams that have formed, and those guys they'll get to go first. They usually are pretty good. And then they had kind of like the individual signups, and they lump you into a team and say, okay, go do a scene. And there was the suggestion was period. So many ways you could have gone with that.
Oh yeah, a lot of ways.
But of course, you know, it's this Dunning-Kruger effect. Like this fucking dude thought he was God's gift to improv. And so he like sets up a scene where it's like 14-year-old girls spraying period blood on the ground in the bathroom and like talking about how they're going to ritually kill the girls who haven't had their periods. There's like some fucking weird bullshit. He thought that women spray blood out of their cooch, which is, I think, the funniest part about it all. But I was so offended and angry. And this was before I was really in therapy. So I was just pissed at this guy. That I just like, I just sat on the side and just stared at him. I didn't even go out there because I was like, this is the dumbest fucking scene I've ever even heard of. Like, I was so pissed. It's just disgusting. It was like, dude, you could have made some grammar. You could have just period. Okay. And then go like teach a class on grammar. And that would have been funnier, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes it's the ones that are so obvious, so low hanging. You just gotta let go.
Yeah. You're supposed to go with like the second or third thought, you know?
Yeah. It seems to me that those classes would attract, you know, one, people who are driven and, you know, already good at the craft and want to get better, but two, people who try too hard. And it seems like there'd be a lot of the try too hards.
Yeah. And the thing is they usually don't last until that, like the later classes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they usually take like improv 1 and then get out, or improv 2. By the time you're into like character and how to like shape a character, play a game in a scene, like those types of things, usually those people have weeded out, you know, like you start out, you got like you're like you said, the people who are driven, people who like want to be on Saturday Night Live and saw that, you know, and I'm sure that that's more frequent in like the bigger improv places in like LA, New York, Chicago. But
yeah,
you get the people who just want to be like better at public speaking and give better presentations, especially up in San Francisco. You get a lot of that, which is cool. They're usually smart, at least, you know. And then you get these guys who are like, I'm going to be funny. Let's do this. I'm gonna be funny.
Oh, Dunning-Kruger in full effect. I think it bears. I'll give the brief explanation of what Dunning-Kruger is for our listeners who might
Yes.
not have heard of it. But it's a phenomenon. I think the guys who studied it named after them. But there was
It's just kind of funny if you think
it's
about
so great,
it.
dude. It's so great. There's this bank robber out in I think Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a few decades back, who he uh, he started out by realizing that you can use lemon to make invisible ink. And so, what did this genius do? He sprayed his face with lemon water and just robbed a bank, just straight face, no mask or anything. And the cops just drove over to his house because they knew him. And they're like, "How'd you find me? I had invisible ink all over my face." And they just looked at him like, "You fucking idiot." So
I didn't realize that was where
isn't
it
that
came
great?
from. That's fucking funny.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
dude,
great?
that's hilarious.
Yeah. You so
Wow.
convinced. Yeah, I know. Pretty good.
And then
But
how did they bring that to like what it eventually,
I think
like the rule or whatever?
I think these guys are studying like how could someone be so fucking stupid? Like how could someone be so fucking stupid? And they're like, well, we need to study this. And so Mr. Dunning and Mr. Kruger got together and like, hey, let's interview this dipshit, or let's look at other dipshits like him and see what's going on here.
And then yeah, so they eventually found out what it's something like the amount you think you know is inversely related. Is that right?
Well, it's just
To
somebody who
the
thinks
amount you
they're
know or something?
really good at like way better at something than they actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
funny
age
because if you
appropriate because kids always think they're really good at stuff, but I think it's like for adults.
right, yeah, like it would be really mean if you took like your 5-year-old and he drew a picture like you fucking suck.
Exactly. You think you're so good.
You think you're so good, like you don't even have muscles on those people.
Exactly.
Your shading is not in effect. Like I always thought about that because if you think back to like the Marine Corps, especially yeah, pretty much any part of the it doesn't matter what type of Marines you're talking about, but I always want to pick on like the logistics guys, who,
Always.
dude, I'm so great at my job, man. I'm great at my job. But then it's always the guys who like nobody thinks they're just an average Marine. Everyone thinks that they're, you know, like they're at the top, like in the 1-2 part of
Exactly.
that fit rep. Like, dude, I don't know why I got 4.242 pro cons, man. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm awesome. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
We had a we had a few of those. We had a guy in my unit, and I don't think he had any illusions, but he couldn't spell Marines. Yeah.
Was he like dyslexic or he just dumb?
I just asked him, I was like, Javian, what did you do before you came to the Marine Corps? He's like, I plucked chickens, Corporal. I'm like, fuck yeah, you did. Of course you did. Yeah, man. He was down. Unfortunately, the stereotype held true. He's down from the deep south, and some like, you know, chicken fuck
Village.
Alabama or
Yeah.
whatever it is, So
In the country.
yeah, country as it gets, man. Dude, he made this video. He made this video when we were in Al Assad, big air base in Western Iraq. And I think it's the first time he had like two nickels to rub together. So he was like buying like fucking Jaw Rule CDs and like um, he bought a video camera and he brought it to Iraq. And he was like, he would be on guard guarding the ammo and the weapons. He's like, so he made this little video to send home as his mom. He's like, "Hey, mama, look at this. This is an M16 rifle. Yeah." And he's like waving it around and pointing at the camera and stuff. And then he's like, "This is a K-bar," and he's slashing back and forth, going, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
he's got an AT-4 backwards, and he's like, "These are the rockets. We're gonna shoot them tanks with, mama." And then it cuts because we discovered this videotape and we're like, oh hell yeah. And so then it cuts to like my open asshole just farting, and that got sent to back home to mama. I wonder what you thought of that whole video, but it was it was
That's
special.
that's fucked up but funny.
Yeah, exactly. So hey, Javian's mom, if you're listening to this, Ken, I'm sorry.
Apologies.
Apologies for what you had to endure seeing that video, but your son was asking for it, and
But you should never flag. You flag something with your rifle like that.
exactly, yeah. So
Don't flag the camera.
he had to be taught a lesson.
Oh, that's friggin' wild, man. On Al Assad too.
Yep, and Al Assad. So what are you gonna do, man? Sometimes you get those people that just asking for it, and you just have to.
Got to do something. Yeah.
You're like, it's like, God
Usually
damn
it's
it,
a
I
tea
have to
bag.
do this. Yeah, exactly.
Teabag him when he's sleeping or something. Take it. Send that picture to his mom. There you go.
Happy Mother's Day.
This is what service in the Marines is really like.
Exactly. Yeah. Before you thank me for my service, no, this is most of what happened. Besides, like brief periods of combat,
Yeah. Like oh God, this is so inappropriate. But now this was never something that I did, but a lot of dudes did this where they would play gay chicken.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
guys?
No, we
it
didn't.
was like
We didn't really have that. Well, I've heard it being played, and I know people who did play it, but I can't say I ever got to the chance to play gay chicken.
No, there was stories I heard after I was out. Like guys on ship would do it, and like one of my buddies was like, "Yeah, man, like, dude, I had my mouth like on his ball sack, like outside of his silkies, and it was humming."
No.
Oh fuck! Talk about mental health. All right,
dude. Well, I think it's there's what I learned. There's a fine line between hypermasculine and homoerotic. There's a fine line.
Very true.
Just the fact of wearing silkies is homoerotic enough, but
yeah. Anytime past like 1985, it's
oh my God, yeah. I think there's a lot of guys in the Marine Corps, like especially because we were in early 2000s. And I think there's a lot of guys who were in, be like, yeah, that'd be kind of funny, like who are super gay, who are actually gay, and we're just trying to make fun of it to see how much, like, other people would accept them.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, there were definitely a bunch of dudes that I was in with who ended up coming out after, because we were still during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Like, yeah, exactly. I feel like I should underline that. So it wasn't like someone could be out and proud. It was like, they would cover their laptop screen when their roommate came in. And he's like, "What are you looking at? Is that porn?" Dude, just let me see it. No, and then they had to hide that shit.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. But dude, did you see the news that the first female Marines graduated from
MCRD San Diego? Yeah,
that was Moto. That was
Lady
really
Leathernecks killing it, San Diego.
Yeah, and that's a joint. It's joint now, right? Like the Army. It's no longer 4th Battalion.
I don't know. I just assumed that it was like all female, like platoons and stuff.
I'm curious how they're going to do that, because, like, when I was at OCS, which isn't even on my. I looked at my DD-214 the other day, and it's like not on there. It's like they don't give a shit. They're just like, nah, fuck you. It was 6 weeks, bro. As far as I'm concerned, that's 6 more weeks of boot camp, basically. But anyway, so I was Golf Company, which is where all the MECEPs and the Navy ROTC midshipmen go.
Yeah.
And then they had Echo Company, which is where like the PLC seniors went, and the NROTC women. And they had like, I don't know. I mean, I think we had probably 4 platoons in our company, and they had like 4 or 5 because there were a lot more of them,
Yeah.
But they had like their one platoon of females like took up, I think, 2 squad bays. They were like massive, and they did all the training that the guys did, but as their own platoon element. It's not like you had female. I mean, the female drill instructors would go yell when the male candidates got out of line, but like you kind of saw them there.
I think that would be confusing if you had both a female and male drill instructor, because you'd be like, "I sir, I'm I sir, I am." For that reason alone, I say
ASVAB waivers.
Exactly. We keep them. Let's keep that segregated just for that alone, right?
It would be tough to ask guys like that dude you were just talking about to be like, I'm a memorizer.
Yeah,
I
they do.
definitely knew a couple guys who I was like, oh yeah, when I was looking at my DD214, I found fucking spelling errors on there, bro. Come
Dude,
on, man.
I got
Spelling errors.
I got a freaking I think it was a meritorious mast, some award I got. My name was spelled wrong. Not my last name, my first name. It says Mick Hale,
Mikhail,
Michale, because that's how anyone's ever spelled Michael.
definitely dyslexia on that one.
Yeah. I looked and was like, "Can you do this over again?" The guy's like, "No, sorry, man. That's just how it is now." I'm like, "Cool. Thanks, bro."
Can this even go into my SRB or is it just
And it doesn't
like
count.
this goes for Mikhail Ergo? It doesn't count. It's like, I don't know, man. Like some of that shit, you go back and you think about this is, I guess, okay, here you go. This is an interesting thing that I've thought about a lot, but never really talked to anybody about. Like the Marine Corps is the first place in my life where I legitimately, I mean, so it's normal, right? Where you're potentially going into combat with these people. They train you even for the pogues. You know, from the first day you get there, it's like, oh, you left your foot locker unlocked. You're going to get your whole battalion killed, which is
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But there's like, you know, you kind of judge people on how they behave under pressure, right? And I'm sure that is way like you in under combat conditions. That's probably a completely, I guess, amplified phenomenon. But you judge on how these people perform, like
Hmm.
how competent they are. And it's the first time in my life that I ever met somebody who the drill instructors got in their face and they completely broke down. Like we shipped with this guy. There was like 7 of us coming from Minnesota. And you know how they give you that practical, we call it prac. It's all like the recruit knowledge you need to know, like your general orders and whatever for
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
that's right.
uninitiated. But if you think back, like, you know, most of us were too busy like chasing skirts or something in high school. I didn't go to boot camp knowing my general orders. I learned them in the first few days, but
Oh,
I
me too,
didn't.
man. I didn't learn that shit
Yeah,
beforehand.
exactly. Well, there was this one dude who when we went there, guy knew everything like a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember part of his name. I remember what he looked like. Of course, he looked like an ogre, but whatever. Uh,
Which coincidentally is my name spelled backwards.
exactly. Oh shit, it is, huh? Mike Ickham, Ickham, Ickham ogre.
That is what it
That's
is.
a good character name. But this dude knew he knew all of the prac, like everything that was in that little handbook, everything you could have known before going there, he knew. And then, you know, we pick up in boot camp, and the drill instructors are, you know, how they're, you could say, well, they're setting the tone, so they're particularly aggressive in the first few days.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy, it was like when someone was yelling at him, his frontal lobe could not connect to the rest of his brain.
Oh,
Like the
just
dude
panicked
just
and shut off.
shut down. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first time I'd ever seen that. And then there was outside of the water. I've seen people, you know, when they're doing that thing, like in Boy Scouts, we had to do the thing
Uh-huh.
where you hop in with full clothes and then tread water for a
Yeah.
certain amount of time, take your pants off, you know, all that shit, make a PFD. But then the other thing I noticed is it was the first time in my life where I ever asked myself, like, how the fuck did this guy live to the age of 18?
Exactly. It just reminds me of a Full Metal Jacket. Did your parents have any kids that lived?
Exactly, dude. It's like I I don't know, dude. Like I kept a little notebook in boot camp about like numbers of just shit, and I don't know where the notebook is. It's long gone, but there's some of them that like I that stick with me. You know, like I remember. I think we picked up with like 108 guys in receiving. Something like 94 made it into our platoon, and we graduated like 75 of them.
Yeah.
And my OCS platoon was a lot smaller. We started with like 42, ended with 31. I could not count the number of recruits who pissed themselves. Like it happened so many times that I could not. I think shit themselves was like 4 or 5, and one guy shit himself on the final PFT, which was
What?
fucking hilarious. On the final, and it just like he just running, and that's like the first time you get to wear silkies, And he took a shit in his
Oh,
silkies, and it fell down his leg. And our senior drill instructor like choke stomped him that night. Like he
oh
like did
yeah.
the choke slam and then stomped on his chest. Uh, and it was because he lipped off to the guide, but I'm pretty sure it was because he shit himself.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
don't know,
one.
man. It's just so many fucking stupid. You just wouldn't expect that there are that many stupid people.
Yeah, you come face to face with it. It gets a little disconcerting at times. Um, we had
Yeah.
this one. So back when I was a Pogue, before I transitioned over to the Grunt life, I was doing MCT, which is for all of the uninitiated out there, the Pogues version of combat school or infantry school. And this is when I knew it was a little different than boot camp, because boot camp we get yelled at all the time, but we wouldn't get the shit beaten out of us. But it's the first time we're standing at attention while our sergeant and instructors walking in the squad bay for MCT, and then all of us, like one of the guys in there, his name was Dryer, and
Of course. It's like 2 letters away from my name.
exactly. And
Yeah.
Dryer had this like big stuttering, like stupid voice. And he's like, excuse me, Sergeant. And then next thing I know, boom, he just gets socked in the stomach, has the wind knocked out of him. And he's just on the ground going, as we're all standing at attention, be like, oh my God. Like, what are we? I thought they're going to respect us now that we're Marines.
We're Marines now. No.
Yeah, exactly. I
No.
guess not. Before he even said a word, just like,
Just hit him right in the
slams
stomach.
this dude in the stomach
Oh.
as hard as he could. And then he goes like, anybody else have a question? No, nobody did. Everyone was just fine after that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh fuck.
yeah, dude.
I'll never.
He got me too, man. Yeah, I got caught on the range, like this fucking kid I hated, where we're shooting 203s. He's like, "Oh, take a picture of me with my like 203." And so I'm like, okay, need a little disposable camera.
Yeah. Do you remember those? People
Oh
probably
yeah.
think we're fucking ancient now.
And I did. I was like, I can get away with this with this disposable camera. And so I press the button, little click goes off, and the flash goes off because he set the flash. We're in the daytime, and I just look at him. I'm like, you
Dude.
motherfucker. And so, of course, they come over to me and we're on the line. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I had to go see this same sergeant who, socked the dude in the stomach. And he did this really cool move where he took my Kevlar strap and he twisted it enough so it hit the pressure point behind my ear. And he did it so hard I went limp and pissed myself a little bit as I fell down.
Weapon of opportunity. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's wow. Did you ever use that on any of your people when you were
Yes.
in the grunts?
Oh yeah. I had to use it at least once. It wasn't actually, you know what? I couldn't because they changed the Kevlar straps. It was not effective. I tried it, but it
because
didn't work.
they had the new liner or whatever.
Yeah, these were the ones I had. It was like a button strap, and then they changed it to like little clips.
Yeah, they had the fucking strap from like Vietnam.
Exactly. So I can no longer haze my boots like the same way I was hazed. I had to get more creative.
Oh man. Yeah, I just boot camp like sticks with you. I got like I was writing a scene. I was telling you a little bit about it, but I wrote a scene and then I had put something about like he got dressed faster than he ever did in boot camp.
Yeah.
and there's this lady in my writing group and she was like, "What was boot camp like yesterday for him?" And I was like, "All right, I'll remove that because it's not important." But like also, shit, I would be coming up on my retirement next June, so that's like almost 20 damn years ago. I still remember parts of that. Like, I remember the first thing. I only got IT once in boot camp. I still remember, like, why.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This shit sticks with you. Like,
that's when we're getting, what's the other nicer word for brainwashed? Indoctrinated.
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 Yes. The indoctrination.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see? You know that British guy who does like the Our Planet stuff?
Oh yeah,
I'd like to see
Benedict
him.
Cumberbatch.
See the only British guy you know?
Well, he's the one who narrates a lot of that shit.
Really? Oh, all
Yeah.
right. Well, whichever British guy, they should get him instead of Gene Hackman
Oh, yeah.
doing the Marines thing on Netflix. I'd like to see them do it like, and here the alpha males
Yeah. Move
indoctrinate.
towards the drill instructors. Yeah. Yeah, that would be hilarious to watch, man. I love watching recruits getting slayed in boot camp. Like nothing brings me to tears like laughing faster than that. Oh, it's so
I'm
good.
with you. I sometimes, well, like when I got out here, I showed, well, my fiance is Belarusian, we have two Ukrainian friends, and they were over, and I was like, "Oh, check this out!" And I don't know why, but I was like drunk and wanted to just show them. Like it was, you've probably seen the video, but it was like a guy who doesn't report his post correctly,
Oh
and it's like
yeah.
someone took the video from behind him.
Uh-huh.
Like that was like another drill instructor who was just like, "Yeah, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like,
Let's see what
let's get this
happens.
video." And they just go fucking ape shit on. And they were like horrified to the point that they were almost crying. And I was crying because I was laughing so hard. You know what I mean? And
Tears.
they're just like,
Both had tears, just different context.
oh my God. Yeah. Oh man.
Like, no, guys, isn't it hilarious how they scare the shit out of him and he thinks he's about to die?
So when you did MCT West Coast
Yeah.
and then you had to go do ITB, was that East Coast?
East Coast, man. Yeah. I feel like I should have got a ribbon for doing like both schools. Like,
I was thinking that, like, if you go, like, let's say you're a pogue of any type, and then you want to be like a reservist recon Marine, even if you're like a sergeant, picture this: as a sergeant, you go do ITB because you have to get the 0311
yeah.
MOS. Then you go to basic recon's course, and then you go do like jump and sear, or sear, jump and dive. I think if you're with a force company or something,
Yeah.
but I couldn't fucking imagine being like a sergeant and going through ITB. That would suck. What was it? Was it weird going back to that after being at band school?
Let's see. I was a Lance Corporal going through it, so it felt a little weird. Being like, I don't know, not that rank mattered too much then because we're all getting yelled at, but being senior to that, and having been in for a while, I'm like, I get to go back to being like a boot again. I'm like,
but then did all the people in your platoon call you like, yes, Lance Corporal, no Lance Corporal?
some of them did until I just like, bro, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
We
we're going through the same shit. Let's not
yeah.
let's not do that.
Yeah. I was just scared I'm not fucking up really. So
Did they make you like guide or something, or like?
No, but I'll tell you what did happen is that I think we're just wearing, it was like boots and utes or like sleeves were rolled up. And before I went to infantry school, I got this new tattoo. It's a Misfits, skull with a Kevlar on it. It says USMC, and underneath in awesome Misfits letters, it says "Born to Fight." And oh my God, such the biggest boot move. I show up to ITB with that on. They're like, we're doing like McMap and hand shit. And they're like, oh, come here, Born to Fight. You obviously know how to fight. Let's see. And they
just beat the shit out of you.
Beat the shit out of me. There's so many times where I just showed up to places and got the shit beat out of me that I'm just like, here we go again,
But, oh God. Yeah.
They didn't let that go. And for good reason too. It's a pretty boot tattoo. But they came up to me, they're like, Born to Fight. Fight who? And I just remember saying like, bad guy, Staff Sergeant.
We did a World War II combatives. Like there was this dude who used to teach special forces some shit, like this World War II combatives. And then he came to teach us some other stuff, like some piece of gear, because he also worked on our side of things. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to give you guys like a free class. I'm sure he charged the government for it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The guy was a retired major, so I'm sure he knew all the little tips and tricks to get maximum money. But so we did this like 2-hour session. And of course, it kicks off by me being the last one there because I had to run in and take a piss. So I come in and he goes, okay, you're the first customer on The Price is Right. And he stuck his fingers into my eyeballs, like into the eye socket. And he's like, the eyeballs are like the most like they bounce back. You know what I mean? Like they don't get hurt that easily in like hand-to-hand type stuff.
Yeah.
But they are very psychologically important. And then he stuck his fingers, he did like the Spock thing into my eyeballs.
Oh God.
And then he like pushed back on my neck until I felt like pain and then just dropped to the ground. And he was like, and you should never have to trip your enemy. And like that was that initiation. By the end of that thing, man, I don't know. That was cool. I thought that was cooler than McMat.
Yeah.
It was like the old school shit. But I felt like my eyeballs were pushed in by the end of that day. Because that wasn't the only time. We were like, you know.
Yeah. I got to be the demonstrator for like all kinds of like cool techniques. It was just when I showed up to my unit and I was the boot. I was like, here, we're going to demonstrate like, like, I don't forget what they call it, but it was essentially like a karate chop to the side of your neck, right on your carotid artery, as hard as he could. And once again, I went limp and pissed myself a little bit.
Dude, could you imagine in like Vietnam, like instead of showing up to your unit and then doing like a little bit of a workup with them and going, you would have been like flying straight into Nam.
Yeah.
As the FNG.
Yeah.
It's fucking, I don't know. Sorry, this is like random. We're not even really talking about
boot camp stories with Mike and Rick.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Like, have you ever thought of what it would be like to be in boot camp? I'm curious though, what was your mentality going to ITB after having done MCT? Like, how much different was it? And, I mean, it's double the amount of time.
Yeah, it was harder than I thought, and not for the reasons I thought it would be. And so I was expecting to the infantry tactics and like the weapons handling shit would be harder, and that wasn't so bad. But what was harder about it was being in the fucking South in the middle of the summer when it's like 90 something degrees with humidity. I did not expect how much that would kick my ass.
Yeah, North Carolina is a bitch. And you're coming from like still a relatively hot area, but not like that. Like that humidity, man, that gets to you in those fucking swamps.
I just expected it. I was like, oh, this is all flat. There's no mountains they can run us over. Because I always remember running up and down the mountains of Pendleton, during boot camp and MCT, being like, okay, this won't be so bad. And then just massively underestimating how bad the humidity would kick my ass, like living outdoors like that. So
yeah, you guys did all your shit in Verona Loop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when we did our like RRP shit, it was out there and we would always run past the MCT guys. I remember one time so I did this like recon screening that had like this land nav component. You do like the recon screening and then you do a 6-mile rifle run. Then you take a 100-pound pack and then you basically, it's I think around 27 miles over like 3 days. And I was on like the morning of the second day. Hadn't really eaten much in the last couple of days. And I was tapped the fuck out, right? Like I was walking like a 90-year-old man who had a dildo shoved in his ass. Like it was not cool. And I had my cover or my hat, as I like to call it, like tilted back, like this trucker
Motor
type
T
thing.
style. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was wearing my old school camis, and this was like in, I don't know, probably somewhere around, this was like November of 2004. So everyone had transitioned over already. Mostly. Like you could still wear them, but they were field only. And it was like 5 a.m, the sun's starting to creep up, like the beginning of whatever nautical, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like where you can start to see it's cold as fucking balls out there. And someone's like, hey, don't talk. And I'm like half asleep, just trudging forward. And I'm like, what? And it was like some staff NCO of some sort. He didn't get close enough for me to see his whatever. And he's like, what unit are you with? And I was not in a mood. So I was just like, radio battalion. and
Yeah.
didn't, and he's just like, oh, all right, oh, very well, carry on. And I was like, but it's not like I went anywhere. I was still walking at like a pace of 1.5 kilometers an hour or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did not want to be fucked with. I had already been like gassed and stuff over the past couple of days. It was like,
I'm not trying to get devil dogged. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think my boots were not bloused and I was wearing my hat like a trucker.
Oh, yeah. That's always.
So I was about to get lifed up and then he was like, radio battalion. I don't even know what that is. Like,
exactly.
But
stumped him.
Fuck, man. Yeah. That was my favorite. Like sometimes when you would break the piddly tiny rules and then get yelled at and then have a good excuse.
Oh, man.
That was always fun.
I got my small pleasures by like doing things like when we had to report our unit to the chow hall people, taking names, going in, like, what unit you with? We're like, First Ghost Recon. They're like, what? Yeah, First Ghost Recon. And they're like, okay.
Okay. Oh man. The fucking Lejeune. That place, I was looking up the news on that place recently.
Yeah.
And they arrested some guy who had been like, he's basically like a crack smoking pimp in Onslow County for like 20 years. And he was in the Marines for like a year and a half and got discharged as a private, or maybe it was 2 years or something.
Yeah.
So he got like bad conduct or whatever, dishonorable. And then he was like drugging people and prostituting them. Real fucking class act down there.
Solid dude. I feel like I might have known him because there was a guy in my unit who basically did that. So
was his last name Marks?
Nope, different guy.
Okay.
I'm sure they work together though.
Oh man. Fuck. Do you realize how old we are? Like, I mean, I don't know how much people actually give a shit, but I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like, I don't feel old. I don't.
That's like the number one old person saying though.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel old. Like, watch the pilot of the Golden Girls, and she's like, when I look in the mirror, I see some weird old lady looking back at me, but inside, I'm still the same person. I'm still, you know what I mean? I still remember when Willie Nelson had short hair. You know? But like, dude, our war is in history books right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people who are in right now don't fucking deploy.
That's what I noticed when I showed up at a boot camp graduation. What was this? January of 2020? Yeah. And it was one of the guys I went to was in with. He had a cousin who was graduating boot camp, so it was like perfect opportunity to go down and hang out with him, see this graduation. And I looked around and none of the drill instructors, I think I saw one. It was like the series like company first sergeant who had a combat action ribbon. No one else. No one.
They all just had that like single rack or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Good conduct and like a Firewatch ribbon.
In like, GWAT service or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went to Iraq and didn't do a fucking thing rack. That's what I have.
But these guys, they didn't even have campaign medals like that. So
nobody went anywhere. Did you hear? I don't know. It was like, I guess it was maybe a couple years ago. It was around the time I was getting out. So I guess that's more than a couple years ago now. But there was like this huge debate. Like, I think our generation of people was like, oh, you have a car? Don't you have a car? And that's like I knew one dude when I was on I&I duty. There was another Marine who had a similar stack to his. Like it was like 3 or 4 rack or rows or whatever. And he was kind of lazy. Like, he was a good dude. He had done like 2 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. But when it came time for him to do a funeral detail, like the guy was kind of like, he was in the middle of a mental breakdown. I don't know if he ever got help or not, but he was definitely like, you know, like just coming into work drunk still, like this kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, but he was, when it came time, he was like, hey, bro, can I borrow your ribbons? And so he would grab a guy who had roughly the same ribbons as his and then just put the combat action ribbon on the top and fucking go to the funeral.
Fuck it,
And it
right?
was like there was this huge hubbub of like, well, we wanted to reward Marines who had seen combat action, but we didn't want to create like a division in our little society here. And it has, but it's like, I get it,
What are you gonna
like
do?
my Iraq experience was vastly different than yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
just
What are
how
you
it
going to do?
is.
I guess once you sign your name on the dotted line, like they fucking tell you what to do. You're one of the few people I know who was just like, I want to become a grunt. I don't think I know anyone else who was like, you know, I think they threatened guys at language school. If they messed up, they would send them to the
Yeah, they,
infantry.
they said do the same thing at band school. They're like, your ass is gonna get sent to the infantry. And I know at least one person who cried in front of like the school, like command, be like, don't send me to
I don't
the
want to go.
infantry.
It's I don't know, man. It's just so crazy. Like there was I think my greatest fear would be getting sent to admin school or supply school.
Oh my God, yes.
Like
Yeah.
I knew this one Navy ROTC guy when I was over at Berkeley, and he was when I knew him, he was like one of the most gung ho guys. I mean, all the officer candidates are right. Like they're
Yeah.
all fast runners. They're all whatever. When I went to OCS, I ran at 21:30 and I was slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this dude was so gung ho, and I asked someone what happened to him later, because he removed his Facebook, everything. He got off the internet, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, he ended up like having to become a logistics officer." Because the
Ooh,
thing is, officers don't get to pick like even their occupational field like we do.
yeah.
It's like you do that TBS. They cut it into thirds so that supposedly all fields get equally shitty officers. And
Yeah, exactly. Like they don't want the best going to like one field, the most
exactly,
desirable. Yeah.
yeah. So he got stuck and people game the system there. I guess
Oh
maybe you
yeah,
wouldn't be
exactly.
surprised because you've been at Cal, but I think
You want to be at
our
the top of the
enlisted
middle or
people
the top of the bottom.
exactly like yeah, it was ridiculous. But he got sent to logistics, and then he was out like as soon as his obligation 3 or 4, whatever they have to do. He was
Yeah.
just like, "Fuck this, I'm out." He's like, I don't know, man. I'm glad I didn't commission at this point.
Yeah, dude.
It's like,
That's the thing. I was like, I thought about what life would have been like if I stayed in. It would have been a different life. We would put some
oh
mileage
yeah,
on that for sure.
yeah, dude. Like, there's that Radman Facebook group I was telling you about. There was some discussion because all of like my generation of Radio Battalion people is kind of coming up on our within a year or two
Yeah.
it would be our 20-year mark. And it's like, well, who would I be? You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have any of the technology knowledge I have now. I wouldn't I wouldn't be the same person, man.
Yeah.
I got some good old like hippie, instilled in me through my indoctrination at Berkeley.
Exactly.
What do you do? Kill babies?
It's like
fucking
every chance I get. Yeah. Yeah, that would
shit,
be
man.
a different life for sure. Well,
I mean, and imagine like, both of us have gone and sought therapy, right? For our own demons or whatever.
oh, yeah.
Imagine not really. I mean, because even though they say it's not frowned upon,
It is.
exactly, exactly. Let's be honest, and I mean that's 20 years of not getting treated for that shit. Like, no wonder people are pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. I know I'd be walking around with like shirts tucked in all the time, be like talking to my kids, be like, hey, clean up your daggone freaking toys right now, right now, right now.
Hurry up today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, man. How would you feel if your kids joined the military?
Dude, I had a moment a couple of weeks ago where my son, he's 4 years old, goes, Dad, when I grow up, I'm going to join the Marines. And I was like, I had this really interesting mixture of feelings. And one was horror, like, oh my God. And second, not a distant second, but second was a lot of pride. I'm like, it was a weird thing to have together. So
I guess it's still an intellectual exercise for me at this point because my kid's like 8 months old. You know, he's
Yeah.
not anywhere near. But it's like I've been able to bring my life to a certain point because I served. Like I got out of my situation. Like I got out. That's got out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Got educated. You know what I mean? Picked up a language and stuff. I don't really want him. Like I would prefer that I get far enough in life that he doesn't have to do that. But if you can hear him in the other room, he's probably gonna be a whiny piece of shit when he's older. Then let him go. Let him go.
Either that or he'd be screaming, be like, get online right now. He'd be all motivated. Sir.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, dude. My son has the makings, like the personality that'd be perfect for the Marine Corps. So he's gung ho, and like it's funny, he'll run into something, bump his head, instead of like crying about it, he just goes, oh, and then like like yeah.
It's
Some good trash.
Oh, fuck. It's some good trash right there. I just fuck, man, I don't know. It's like, well, whatever the future holds as far as warfare is concerned,
Yeah.
I don't want any fucking part. I don't want my kid having any part of that
Oh,
because
man.
it's going to be AI targeting and stuff. Like that's what some of the strategy shit I was like picking up, open source stuff, and
Yeah.
there's no fucking way, man. Not smart bullets, but like Navy ships that can shoot from like 100 kilometers away.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Or it's
all
like
that.
AI targeting missile. Fuck
You
that.
think about that kind of warfare, conventional warfare with like a nation like China, that would be horrific in terms of casualties. So like I don't want my kids serving with something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love
especially if
for
it
them
plays
to.
out like our war, where it was like,
Yeah.
okay, if you're kind of poor or middle class, you can go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everyone else, do your patriotic duty, go to the mall.
Yeah.
I, but what were you gonna say though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to tell my son not to join because then he definitely will. Um, but I don't think any father wants his daughter to join the Marine Corps. Um, so I would hope if she goes in, it'd be like Air Force or Coast Guard.
Yeah, I mean, the sheer number of like, I didn't realize, man, but like my job field has like a high percentage of women because women are well, okay, let's let's women have higher standards to be able to join in the first place.
Yeah.
No chick with a 30 ASVAB is getting in. No
Oh,
chick
yeah.
who can do like, the equivalent to 5 pull-ups or 3 pull-ups is getting in. Like they have these different quality ranks. And the guidance was to take only like that cream of the crop. So we had like a shit ton of women in our occupational field in signals intelligence. And like some of these discussions that I've seen in the last couple of years, people who aren't in anymore are like willing to talk about shit that happened to them when they're
Yeah.
in.
Mm-hmm.
And like the sheer number of like, I bet you it would be easier to identify the chicks who did not get raped.
Yeah, exactly. Or
It's like,
assaulted in some
or
way,
raped or assaulted or
harassed.
harassed, like something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's more uncommon for that not to happen to someone. And I wouldn't want that. I don't want that to happen to anyone. Especially if I had a daughter, wouldn't want it to happen.
Exactly. Because I just know how I was very tame compared to a lot of the people I was in with, and I
Yep.
was a fucking animal.
Me too. And
You know,
I look back and I'm like, dude, you were a giant piece of shit. Like, what the fuck? Not you.
yeah,
I'm saying to myself, but
yeah. No, I look back myself, and I wasn't, doing anything wrong, but like I had the mentality of like I didn't value people like I do now.
correct. Yeah, I would say that that's a nice way to put it. But yeah, I was the same way.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
yeah. I was
You know,
definitely misogynist. I think I'm using the right word, but I was not very polite to women at all. So I can imagine people who, like me and then way worse than me interacting with my daughter. Hell no, man.
yeah,
I
you
go
want to
like,
fucking kill them.
yeah, I go old school, show up at the barracks with a shotgun. Come here, devil dog.
I got birdshot in here.
Yeah, come
It's
here,
not
devil
gonna
dog.
kill you. It's just gonna
or I'm just
take some parts off.
show up and whoop people's ass old core style.
He's one of those Nancy Kerrigan, that kid, man.
You know what I'd love to do is whoop the shit out of somebody with their own boot. Just pick it up and beat the shit out of their face with it. Like, here you go, you fucking boot. Have tread on their face, like tattooed in there permanently.
They just show up to formation. It's like the mark of the devil on their
What
face, the mark of the beast.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's dad beat you up, huh?
Shouldn't have been a piece of shit then.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being a piece of shit, I'm going to not be that and start making breakfast for my familia.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think we're about to cook dinner here. So, what are we cooking? Oh yeah, barbecue chicken tonight.
Oh,
hell
nice.
Yeah!
I will be having a barbecue as well. But I'm going to go get me some crab. I dropped a crab pot in the ocean yesterday, and I'm going to go pick it up, kayak out, and pick it up today. So we'll see if I got some. But
awesome, man.
Yeah,
we'll enjoy that. This was fun, even though we mostly told fucking boot camp stories, and this is like inside baseball talk with Mike and Rich.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you like it, let us know. Let us know. Hit us up on, I don't know, Instagram, email, fucking website, fucking Facebook, or whatever. Let us know how you like it.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be like, guys, shut the fuck up. Enough of the boot camp stories.
Yeah. Enough of the boot camp stories.
Then next week we'll have way more boot camp stories just to be dicks about it.
Hell yeah.
All right, man.
All right, man.
Till then, drink water.
Meditate.
Kill bodies. Good. All right, everyone. That'll do it for this week of Transitions for More. Go ahead and subscribe to the show. Follow it. Find us on Facebook, Instagram. You can email me, mike@transitionsformore.com with any questions or ideas for the show. And please send the show to people you know who might need to listen to it. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes if you get a chance. And just thanks for listening. All right, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.